Hello, Internet. Welcome to another Vinnie Vents, the off-the-cuff show where I just talk about whatever's on my mind. Today I want to talk to you about car dependence. If you watch any of my cycling videos, I might have mentioned this one before. The fact of the matter is, we have a problem here in America. And that is that roughly every 10 years, possibly less, the buy-in to participate in society is $35,000 plus tax, insurance, maintenance, and fuel. Unless you live in New York City, chances are you can't work, you can't shop, you can't exist without owning a car. And some of you are about to say, but that's because America was built for the car. So, George Washington totally fought off the British from his Ford F-150, right? The Declaration of Independence clearly reads life, liberty, and a roomy SUV with lots of legroom. Or is it maybe, in the latter half of the 20th century, we went astray, bulldozing our old cities, destroying our own history to build gigantic freeways and massive giga parking lots that cut us off from our own resources that were always within reach. The fact of the matter is, many people who are even close enough to walk or bike to their job or to the store are afraid to do so because of gigantic highways cutting through their neighborhoods, making it too dangerous just to go across the street. So just get a car, you say. Well, whoop-de-freaking-do. Let me just waltz all the way over to the free car store. Well, why don't you get a better paying job and buy a car? Okay, so let me just travel to a place with higher paying jobs. With what? With what, America? And listen, I can't spend this whole video going off on absolutely everything wrong with car-dependent design. And maybe you're thinking, well, certainly I would walk or bike to the store, but the store is 20 miles away. Let me ask you, why is the store 20 miles away? Why is that? The answer is more complicated than you might think. But it has a lot to do with the fact that it's actually illegal to build it any closer. Or you say, I might walk or bike to work. It's close by, actually, but it's just so dangerous out there, and I'll ask you, why is it dangerous? It's the cars. The cars make it dangerous to not own a car. You are effectively being held hostage by car-centric infrastructure. You have to buy in for your own safety from the very thing you're buying into. Doesn't that sound a little like a protection racket to you? And yes, some of us cyclists are brave enough to go out there and ride in traffic. Brave enough to demand that drivers treat us with the same respect they would treat any other vehicle. And to do that sort of high-risk riding while also respecting the law and putting up with the danger and, yes, the sometimes intentional vehicular assaults, and yes, including the slurs. Drivers love to shout that one particular slur at cyclists. Ultimately, the point of this vent is, car-centric society was born in the mid-20th century out of an intentionally cruel design to force America to buy into these giant 2-ton death machines. America's history was bulldozed for the car. Our neighborhoods were knocked down, our cities were divided by giant freeways, our real estate was eaten up by giant cooking hot black asphalt parking lots, and our mass transit systems were shut down, all to sell more cars. And I've come to realize that was not accidental. It was done with cruel and purposeful intention. And today we just go with it, because we've been told that's the way it's always been. Well, it hasn't been. It's actually very new in history, and it's not too late to realize this isn't the way it has always been, and it doesn't have to be the way it will always be. We can look at it as one big misstep in history, and car-centric infrastructure can just go away, relegated to the trash heap of history, like 8 Tracks, The Gaslight, or Nickelback's music. Until then, riding a bike in America is an act of political defiance and social rebellion, and I say bravo to those rebels. Of course, as an addendum, I just want to say that no, I am not against you being able to own a car. In fact, I think it's wonderful that the United States is so prosperous that so many people can afford to own a car. This is why I'm not ranting about car ownership, but car dependency. I think people should not be forced to own a car just to be able to exist. Cars should be a luxury good, something that is entirely optional to own. Those who cannot afford a car should not be pushed to the fringes of society. Those who struggle to own a car should have the option not to have to own one, and that their money might be better spent elsewhere. And those, regardless of financial circumstance, who just choose not to own a car because they just don't want to, well, this is the land of the free, isn't it? Shouldn't they also be free to make that choice? And even if you like to drive, you want to drive everywhere, then wouldn't it be great if about half of those other people on the road that are just in your way weren't driving? If they were, say, in their own separate bike lane and not on the road with you, on the sidewalk, or taking a bus or a train, you'd have so much more road to yourself. So even if you're a car enthusiast, maybe you too can get behind non-car-centric infrastructure. All it takes is some better infrastructure that isn't intentionally cruel by design. And if you want to learn more about this subject, I'd recommend the YouTube channel Not Just Bikes, who can tell you a lot about countries that went in another direction and are living a happier life because of it. But for now, this is Vinnie D out.